Okay, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I'm really excited about my guest tonight. This is his third or fourth time he's been on my show, and it's an honor to have him on every time. It's Keith Coley. Um, are you an empath and do you not fully understand your sensitivity? Tonight we're going deep on how empaths can not only protect their energy but become powerful through it. Keith Coley returns to break down why empaths feels everything so intensely, how to turn sensitivity into strength, Chinese medicine and energy healing insights, building physical and energetic resilience, energy healing, and developing your intuition and inner awareness. He has a new course coming out on May 2nd, which deals with energy healing and intuition. I think it's intuition. I'm sorry. Yeah. And Keith is also, yeah. And a little bit more about Keith. He's an energy healer, Chinese medicine practitioner, and 5-element acupuncturist who blends traditional healing systems with Qigong, bioenergetics, and intuitive healing energy work. His teachings focus on helping individuals reconnect with their body's natural intelligence and cultivate strength, both on a physical and energetic level. And I'd like to give him a big warm welcome back to the show. Keith, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me pretty well?
Yeah, I'm pretty good on my end.
Okay. I can always change my audio input. All right. And if it needs to go up, let me know, everybody. I'm doing great, man. I've been watching in my Facebook feed. I have all of these ads now for energy healing courses, right? And as I'm feeling the people that are in the advertising as being the people you're going to learn from or examples of the program, I'm noticing one thing that's very much missing on every single one of them, and that's nobody's actually carrying much energy. So if you're going to be in the world of energy working, you need to have actual energy that you're cultivating to work with. But the problem is we've got a lot of these people who are in these groups, and they're probably even in these groups right here listening to your shows, and they're like, well, I'm one of those people. I qualify for energy healing because I feel so much. I feel so much energy. I feel all of the lunar cycle. I feel planetary movements. I feel what happens here on planet Earth. I feel everything. And I know a lot of people that watch your shows, they feel this way. And I would add, though, that a lot of them, as I see in the comments, I'm just observing, and they're saying things like, well, is anybody being affected by this? Oh my gosh, I can't seem to function because of, and they're naming all of these things that typically are giving them a lot of difficulties just doing life because they are so sensitive. And I'm just observing, being the watcher, watching what people are giving them as things they could do to try to lessen the discomfort they're in because of their level of sensitivity. And I see it all the time. And I'm sure you probably do as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And it's weird. Like a lot of people now are saying that are empaths, and they're feeling the effects of the war of what's going on. I know I myself am feeling that.
I think I think it's happening everywhere. I think we're all, if you look at Dr. Rupert Sheldrake out of England, and his many books written and interviews around morphogenetic fields or morphic fields, you're going to learn, right, that he talks about that the human race itself, we have our own morphogenetic field, and within that we have all these sub-morphogenetic fields. Well, if we're all hooked together in one field, then what goes on in the field, we all are being subject to. We can feel it to some degree, especially if your nervous system is open to receiving a lot of information. Some people are more shut down, and some people are wide open and feel everything like a raw nerve. So I believe that's being felt by a lot of people right now.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And do you think it's affecting people to where it can affect their attitude every day and like how they feel about like life and stuff like that?
Absolutely. I mean, even if you didn't read anything or look at anything or watch anything on these crazy devices, I still think you'd be feeling that something, as was it Yoda that, no, it was Obi-Wan who's like, something's happened within the force, like a million voices crying out suddenly were snuffed out or something along those lines in Star Wars, I think there would still be the ripple that people would feel. But then you add this on top of it and what people are reading through social media. And then on top of that, right? This isn't our parents' time where Walter Cronkite,
Cronkite.
Cronkite would get in there and say, "This is the way it is," and he would say what he's going to say, and people go, "Well, we heard the news. Yay, we've got the business. We know what's happening." No, now we go, are they telling the truth? Who's telling the truth? Is anybody telling the truth? How do I discern the truth from all these sources so I can finally get something that resembles actually what's happening? Because everything, I don't know about you, everything I see on social media, I'm like, well, maybe. Well, Artemis just did a slingshot around the moon and made its way with the gravity of Earth, pulling it into its atmosphere and splashing down. You're going, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it did. So that adds to the problem, I think, is people are like, I don't know what to believe, but I feel something is way off. And so then what do you do about that? And people, this is just global, let alone what's happening in your state, if you're in the United States, or your country, your state, your town, your family, your friends, you know, all this compounds. Then on top of it, that's relational with like human beings. Now let's talk about what's happening with EMF. So, and we normally think, yep, that's right, that 5G is what's causing all the problems. It's like, well, yeah, stacked on top of many other things that produce electromagnetic fields, including the wiring in your wall. Who talks about that? Not many. Some do. The wiring in your wall is constantly producing a field, whether you're using it or not. And that is affecting us. So we have all these things stacked on top of one another. And the illustrious Elon Musk, of course, is bombarding us all the time with his thousands of satellites that give connectability. However, it comes at a price, which means you cannot escape all of what's coming off those satellites beaming to Earth unless you live in a Faraday cage. So when somebody's already sensitive, extra sensitive, they, of course, then start feeling overwhelmed. Arizona Raven says, I probably watched first moon landing on Walter Cronkite's show. Yeah, I mean, everybody turned everything else off and stopped talking and just watched, glued to their sets.
Yeah, I always wondered how the president was able to call the people up on the moon. You know what I mean? Like if cell phones weren't invented yet, like how did he call them? You know, it's impossible. It would have been, you know, like so that was kind of a dead giveaway right there that something wasn't right with that. You know what I mean?
I mean, unless they're somehow routing him, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just speculating. Unless they're routing him somehow his phone call to Houston, and then they're relaying it. I mean, and I don't know how they're doing that, but I mean, I'm sure somebody has an answer on that might be much more educated than mine. Arizona Raven says, yes, my dad would call and make me watch history happening.
Now we get the official narrative of what we're doing. Like, I don't want to get into like world politics and current affairs and stuff, but like, you know, like, because there's so many different people have so many different opinions, and I find to get myself caught up in it. I get emotional and I get, you know, I see stuff happening to people in Gaza and Lebanon, and I'm like, man, that doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? But like, I don't want to speak on it because I don't want to take a side, but at the same time, I feel like it's like something doesn't seem right there. You know what I mean? I don't know. So it's like these things affect us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether you know what side to take or any side, the fact that it's going on and people are hurting and dying, that creates a massive ripple in this humanity's morphogenetic field. Jay says, you know, reality check. Jay Wagner, reality check has the goods on how they filmed the original moon landings. Nancy Valker says. Karina says, how did humanity get so far away from what is simple and natural? No kidding. Missing time 420. They use laser-based communications. Hey, look here, Robert. They used a laser. It's a laser. So, I think this is what people are facing. And so unless you shut yourself down, and I'm not claiming I know why everybody who is sensitive and why people who seem to be just walking zombies are walking zombies. I don't know that. I don't know why. I know two reasons that I often think contribute to people not being able to feel, and that's due to trauma. And it's funny, right? Trauma can go either way. I know some people, trauma caused them to just shut down. They just shut it all down. How do I survive? Other people, trauma seems to have blown them wide open. So obviously, the individual has something to do with which direction that goes. I've noticed that some people also don't feel much because their life force, their vitality is really low. And so they don't feel as much energetically. However, I've got some people who are quite weak energetically as far as their life force, and they're like a raw nerve. So there's always exceptions. There's never anything that really explains why for everyone. And that's, I'm not sure, not a shock to everybody. And yep, Stanley Kubrick was hired to film the moon footage. I mean, again, you know what? This is what I have to say to all of it. This is why I don't go too deep into this on shows like this, because I wasn't there. I wasn't there for any of these events. I didn't see anything live. And we're getting to where AI technology is so good that unless you are there live, we may not be there quite yet, but give it a year or two. Um, if we aren't there to see it, you won't know for sure if it's real or not.
Yeah.
And that's when we don't trust anything anymore. So I just feel like we have to start looking on our own turf right here in your backyard and going, all right, what can I do in me personally to strengthen myself to withstand all the pressures we've talked about? And then how do I become an anchor and maybe even a beacon for the people in my community where I can help people to feel supported and feel stronger? And if I understand ways to strengthen me, then I can share those ways with other people. And that's what I've been doing for 22 years. There's Amber. Hi, Amber. Where I've been banging the gong on how do we make our experience feel more empowered, because I think all the things we've mentioned tends to make people feel like, well, who am I? Who am I in all of this? What am I supposed to do? I'm just me. I do my job. I have my family, my friends. Some people vote, some people don't. Does that make a difference? What am I supposed to do to change any of this? I'm just one person. And so if we don't start scaling it in to just us and how we can make ourselves more empowered and resilient in our own backyard, I think sometimes humanity just gives up. It just gives up. They're like, I can't, there's nothing I can do about it, so never mind. But I say we can, and again, give people some background who don't know me, which may be everybody here except for a couple of people. I grew up in the southwest corner of Missouri, near the Oklahoma border, okay, in a town of 5,000 people. So I didn't grow up in a hotbed of activity. I didn't grow up in some spiritual community. You know, I didn't do any of those things. I grew up in a small cow town in the southwest corner of Missouri in the Midwest. So everything that I am now and that I've learned now are because I took the time as an adult to head down that path. I had a suspicion that all the things I was being told, shocker, I'm sure for a lot of you, wasn't everything. And there had to be more than what I was being taught in school, being taught in church, being taught by people I respected. There was just stuff that wasn't being said. There was occultic information. And I think most of your listeners probably know that the occult just means hidden. But it's had this connotation that, well, the occult, that means evil, distortion, chaos, manipulation. But that's not what the word actually means. It just means hidden.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of information has been hidden. And I think what happened here in the West in the 60s and 70s, we started bringing over a lot of Eastern thought. Name the small town, Marshfield, Missouri, right off of I-44. So, I felt like, gosh, I forgot what I was saying. I got off in my small town, and I'm like, I don't know what I was talking about. Any ideas what I was talking about, Robert?
Just about a little bit about our history and a little bit about what's going on in the world, and how it affects us emotionally, and how you're kind of
Oh,
putting together a whole
yeah.
thought here about
Yeah,
like
and
what's going on. Yeah.
yeah, and the idea that, I felt like with the hidden information, there had to be something when I remember now, all the information coming over from the east to the west in the 60s and 70s, and we brought over a lot of ideas that weren't a part of our culture at that point, and those permeated the 60s, they permeated the 70s, and brought a lot of new thought and a lot of new ways of possibly approaching what living should look like. We're like, wait a minute, these are different ideas. These are different wisdoms and philosophies. And a lot of new things came here, like yoga came here, transcendental meditation, TM came over here. A lot of things came over. But the thing that didn't really make it through once I got into acupuncture school, when I made that decision to do that as an adult, I realized, wait a minute, um, they're bringing over the idea of energy. And there's information flowing through our bodies, the nervous system, these things called meridians. But what about the actual cultivation of this life force, this vitality that we're supposed to be working with? And what I found out was, even at the school I was attending, the practitioners there, they knew it conceptually, but they didn't know how to bring more energy into this meridian system, our bodies, to allow them to be more powerful. And yet I knew from certain things I had read and certain things I had seen that there were places in the east, the far east, that knew how to do things that were beyond making sense. It was beyond what humans should be able to do. How can you know things from a distance? How can you send energy from a distance to change someone's health? How is that possible? And I think the first thing to really break the ice on that most people started hearing about was Reiki. And I do have a great appreciation for Reiki, because it is the way that the Westerner gets their feet wet in the world of energetics. So I took some Reiki courses. I did the weekends. I got my level 1, my level 2, became a Reiki master, and all those different attunements that allow you to take those different levels of attainment. And that's a good start. However, I would say that it's basically you're in grade school. You're getting into grade school in the energetic world, and you're going to be able to do some things. You may have some clearing going on to show that you had some blockage that got removed. Maybe it was, diarrhea. Maybe it was flu-like symptoms, whatever it was. But that's the beginning. And so when I got out of acupuncture schools, when I actually started learning what it meant to make myself more powerful in daily practice, simple practice, but daily practice, to be able to cultivate more energy. And so that I could take on more people's dysfunction to help them to have better health. Some people get so deep in the hole with their health. You can say, well, you need to do this and this and this and this, and all they hear is overwhelm, overwhelm, overwhelm. You don't understand how bad I feel. I don't feel like I can do anything to change my situation. In those situations, it's my job to have enough energy to be able to work on those people, to pull them up out of their state of being sick. Maybe it's chronic, maybe it's acute. So then I can go, all right, now that you don't feel like you're going to die, and you can, do more than walk from your bed to the bathroom and still be exhausted then when they would do that. Now that you're past that, let's teach you how to get well above that, to where you're actually living a life that you would consider to be normal, that your peers are doing. But that's not the end. What if you could live in a way that was far beyond that? What if you could start to explore what it really means to be more expressing yourself as what humanity can truly be? Because I think we're living about that much of the potential of what we're able to be. And I think the people that most realize this are the people who call themselves empaths. They put the labeling on themselves. I am an empath because I feel like I feel everything. And they also are the ones I see, as I mentioned in the beginning, feel like they don't have the ability to deal with all of the massive amounts of input they experience to even do life normally. And so my message here today, what I want to communicate is, you don't have to live that way. Questions so far?
But how do we not live that way? What do we have to do to do? What do we do to like get up?
Well, there are, like I said, there are very simple exercises that people from the Far East knew, and some still know, that open up these gates inside of our bodies to be able to allow more of the energy that's everywhere, because there's no such thing as empty space. We figured that out, right? Oh, all
Yeah,
that empty space out there. It's not empty. We know that. You can bring that energy into your body if those gates will open up. But most people, the gates are closed, or not closed entirely to be dead, but they're not open very far.
yeah,
And this is most people. And where I probably piss a lot of people off, people will say, well, oh man, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I get it. I'll post stuff on Facebook. Oh, I get what you're talking about. Oh, I'm right with you, man. And then I feel them, because that's what I've taught myself to do, is to feel anybody's energy. And I'll explain what that feels like here in a minute to me. And I'm like, sorry, Charlie, but your energy is not much bigger than your next door neighbor. It's not. Whatever you're doing isn't building that. I'm not saying what you're doing doesn't do something and isn't making improvements in your life, but it's not doing what I'm talking about, which I'll explain. So when I found out in the very beginning of my exploration of energy work, I realized that when I would look at my clients, when I was an acupuncturist, I would look along an arm, a leg, their torso, their head, and I would feel pressure in my eyes. Is anybody else out there but me? Did I lose you guys? Anybody in the comments want to throw a thumbs up or something if you can hear me? Oh, good. Okay, Lori, you're there. So we lost Robert. That's who we lost. I'm just going to keep talking. Thank you. Um, I realized when I would look at clients, I would I would feel pressure in my face and in my throat, in my chest, my hands, if my hands are up, whenever I would look at a part of their body. And I'm like, what is that? Why is there a pressure difference when I'm looking up and down my client? Because then you're thinking, well, they come in with an issue, low back pain, knee pain, headache, whatever. And you're thinking, well, what channels am I going to be needling, right? To help correct the flow in order for the pain to go away. Just simple pain stuff. I did that all the time. But as I'm looking up and down their limbs and stuff where I'm going to put the needles, I'm starting to feel pressure or a lack thereof, or heat or cool sensations in my body. And I'm going, well, I think I'm getting feedback off of their body. Robert's in the void. And so right, I'm not being taught this in the moment of how to feel this in my body. I'm noticing it as I'm doing my job, which is not what you're taught in acupuncture school to do it this way. Here's Robert. Welcome back, Robert.
sorry.
You're good. And so I was describing to everybody, Robert, how I realized I could feel the energy in someone's body by looking at my clients when they were on a table, figuring out where I was going to needle these acupuncture points to try to help them to have better digestion, less pain, whatever it is. And so the pressure, I'm like, oh, this is this is me feeling the energy in their body. I mean, I'd graduated from acupuncture school. I knew how this all worked theoretically, and so I started to pay more attention to the nuance. What does it feel like? And what does it, how hot is it? How cold is it? How much pressure? What images do I get when I'm getting these different feeling states off of the client? And I would notice that some clients, when I would look at them, their energy coming off their body was like really small. And other people, it was much bigger. And then I knew about, of course, kinesiology muscle testing, right? You're, oh, look at you, oh, you're not very strong there. Hold this herbal supplement, and then they would get stronger. And so the practitioner goes, you need this. It's going to strengthen these organ systems. Good for you. Thank you for coming in today. Your bill's $400 or whatever they were charging them. And they would walk out and they would do muscle testing. Well, the reason why that works is when the energy in the body, the life force expands greatly, then the limbs get stronger. And that's just organ specificity I'm not getting into here for the sake of that's not why we're here. But the point is, I could feel how much or how little or how much energy was in the client. And if you see 10, 12 clients a day, every day, day after day, day after day, day after day after day, you start to get a baseline of what feels normal. As I told you last time, or maybe the time before, maybe both times, when I met my first qigong teacher, Master Owen Wei, out of California, I realized, oh, that's what people can feel like. That's how much energy a person can have. Expansiveness to the point that you can't find the borders. He dwarfed everybody, everybody. So I'm like, okay, so if that's possible, and I'm not saying he's maxed out, just that's what's possible, and the rest of us feel like this, we're not doing something right.
Yeah.
And and through him and Paul Fraser, who helped me to be introduced to Master O, I realized, oh, I can do simple exercises with the proper forms, the proper exercises, and I can build that in me. And the more energy I have in my body, the better everything works. And here's where I'm talking to all the people who think of yourselves as empaths. Then your guardian energy, that's what it's called, your guardian chi, your guardian field, your force field becomes stronger. You're not buffeted by the wind, so to speak. You can
Yeah.
handle people who are nasty. You can handle a large group of people. You can handle weather. You can handle celestial bodies moving around. You can handle all kinds of things that are laying you out flat. Or maybe you just get sick all the time. You're like, look, dude, I'm not, if that's an empath, I'm not an empath. But I'll tell you this, I get sick a lot and I hate it. In fact, ever since I got COVID, I got really, I've been sick a lot and I get sick easier and it's not cool and I don't know what to do about it. And I'm taking supplements, this, that, and the other, but nothing's really getting me there. I'm telling you the reason you're not getting there is overall the life force in your body isn't there. Victoria says magnetic energy field. Yes, that and more than just magnetic, but that's a part. It's a part of it. There's a lot of field theory going on in this, what I'm saying, but that is definitely a part of it. And so this is something the Far East knew about. But guess what? They didn't let that come through to the Westerners going out there to get the goods to come back to the States or Europe, wherever, that was not them. They gave them pieces of it. But what you have now, at least in the United States or the North American continent, you have all these different groups of people, all these different methods, all these different practices, and hardly any of them talk about how to cultivate the energy. It's how to raise your vibration, how to raise your frequency, how to make things more connected, and all of that is a part of the discussion. But hardly anybody talks about how to cultivate because that has not become part of the mainstream conversation yet. But it's getting there. It's getting better. So I'm the guy out there banging the freaking gong all the time going, you guys got a lot of the pieces of the puzzle, but here's one of the pieces you don't have. And I know this because, yes, Amber, I do still do Wednesday night group healings and Saturday. I do it right after this at 9 p.m. Eastern. And so I'm there to help people to learn this simple exercise. Or like Amber said, I do group healings, if you will, on Zoom at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday and Saturdays every week. And so, and then I bring people in and they just soak in it. Now, do I encourage them to cultivate on their own? Sure. But here's me being as transparent as I can. Most people who hear me talk about this and even consider what I'm talking about, and if you even learn how to do these exercises in front of me, I know that single-digit percentage of those people will actually do it daily. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. That's humanity. Am I working on devices that I think will help people to do a portion of this in a way that's not being offered anywhere I've seen or know of? Yeah, I'm working on that. But the easy way to do it is just simply learn the simple exercise. We taught our son when he was 5 how to do one of them. 5. And it totally changed things for him. And I'll tell the story again simply because I think it brings the point home. We moved from Washington State when the lockdowns are happening. Remember, I told you this before, in 2020, lockdowns are happening, Washington State, China 2.0, the writing was on the wall, and Angel, my wife, goes, "We got to get out of here. I can see what's happening. We've got to get out of here. We have a child." And so we loaded up the truck and we moved back out east and landed in North Carolina. And we're thinking, oh, it'll be more sane. And it is. It was, but not as sane as I'd like it to be. So we get here and I can feel pretty accurate on who got the jabby jab and who didn't. And most people did from what I could feel. People out running around, they all were lit up like a Christmas tree to some degree, showing that they had it. Because when you have that in your system, you don't feel like you did before. You'll never go back to feeling that way again, at least from what I've felt so far. And our son could not tolerate what was being broadcast from those people.
Yeah.
And it made him sick. He'd come home and have diarrhea, abdominal cramping. I think he even threw up a time or two. And it was awful. And so he was 4, not quite 5. And I just, we're like, hey, you're turning 5 soon. Let's make this a demarcation in your life. You learn one of these simple exercises that you see us do every day. And we think in a few months, 2 or 3 months, you're not going to be affected like this casually anymore. And guess what? He wasn't. He did it and he wasn't affected like that anymore. And he's really sensitive. He's a product of Angel and myself, 2 very sensitive people. His ability to feel energy is off the charts. What he can extract from people just energetically is amazing. So he's really sensitive what people are broadcasting, and this made him stronger. Not like oh, I think it's making a difference. It's no, he's not having abdominal cramping and diarrhea anymore. It was a pretty obvious shift. So I'm speaking this again to say, when I teach this intuition class coming up May 2nd, yes, I'll teach people how to cultivate. You can do it or not. It's up to you. I can't make people, do anything. You do what you want to do. But I am going to teach you how to learn how to manage your ability to not be so overwhelmed. And I will also teach you how to feel in the way that I do. Because what I found out is a lot of people get information in very different ways. They get it from a voice in their head. They see images in their mind. They get it through all kinds of different ways in their nervous system. I specifically get it primarily, I should say, through the feeling of feeling other people's emotions and other people's organ systems and things inside of their body. Lisa Talcott, what is your channel that you do your healing at? Well, it's on Zoom. So people, they sign up and then they get the password and then they get in order to be able to just be a part of it. Your camera can be off, your microphone can be off, and you can just be in there. You can private chat me and go, hey man, I need to work on this. I don't want anybody else to know, but you're the one treating. So here's what's going on with me. Some people do it that way, and I treat everybody for an hour from 9 to 10 Eastern. So that's I'm going to teach people how in my class commitment May 2nd, how to feel energy the way I do. And I feel like it's a pretty grounded way. And it does literally keep your feet anchored to the ground. Because I find a lot of people who feel like they're empaths, a lot of what they have a trouble with is they don't stay grounded. You're like, no, you don't understand. I go out and put my feet on the ground every day and I ground out. Yes, helpful, good job. However, for some people, that's just not enough. And there's got to be ways to tie in. And Caroline Pope, who's there right there in the comments, thank you there, Caroline. I appreciate it. Caroline's been really, nudging me for years now. At this point, for me, get more connected to the earth. Get more connected to the earth. And I've really made a concerted effort, even just recently, an even more concerted effort to try to bring that into my life more, so I can then pass along how to be more grounded. Because what happens with people who get tons of information, their ability to narrow it down and only tune where they want to tune and feel like they have a centering point, they often don't. In fact, I'll feel them. I'll feel people who are like, I just feel like I pick up everything. I'm so sensitive. Normally, their energy is occupying, like diaphragm up, maybe not even that, like here up, and their energy isn't fully embodying everything down to their feet into the earth. And they feel like that. And their energy is just kind of hovering up here like a balloon, a lot of it. That's not grounded. So, anyway, go ahead, Rob. I'm yammering and yammering. Ask questions if you have any, or people here on the comments.
Yeah, I know this is great. This makes sense. And you're starting to you're doing a course soon. Did you want to get into that? Like May
Yeah,
2nd?
that is the course, May 2nd. Yeah, May 2nd is when my intuition course starts. So if you're like somebody going, dude, I already got intuition out the wazoo. I don't need any more intuition. So hear what I'm saying. This this isn't just how to feel energy. It's how to feel energy in your body in a grounded way. For instance, as people are talking, and I'm not suggesting that I'm perfect at this, but I'm pretty good at it. When people are talking, I feel remember I talked earlier about how when people have a lot of energy, it
Yeah,
expands or it contracts, right? When
yeah.
people are talking and they're speaking out of their mouths what sits in their heart, their energy will often expand. Usually it expands. When they're not in alignment with what's in here, their energy tends to shrink. So when you're listening to somebody and you're tapped into them in this way and feeling in this way, you can feel this going on when people are talking and it's moving according to how aligned they are with what's coming out of their mouth. If you're wondering, not to get too deep into politics, but if you're wondering about political leaders and are they telling us the truth or what's going on, often I will just, if I'm going to bother to listen to them, I'll just sit there and I'll feel their energy shrink and contract as they're speaking. And if they're saying really important things, like really crucial topics, and their energy is shrinking into a golf ball, guess what I strongly suspect?
That they're lying.
They're lying.
And I would guess most of the time that's happening because I would guess 90% to 98% of all the politicians lie. You know.
So there's a lot that I feel is not aligning up with what they know to be true.
Yeah.
A lot is not lining up. When people before were like, well, what do you? I'm just pick a president, but now that we're talking to, when we're talking about the president we have right now, Trump, and people are like, well, and just for the record, I didn't vote in the last election. Okay. So you can love that, hate that, think I'm a bad American, think that's the thing to do, whatever. I didn't vote. So there's that part. When I felt and did a thing I call skinwalking, no, not what the Native Americans describe as skinwalking. My term of skinwalking is to crawl into somebody, to climb energetically my awareness into a person and look out of their eyes and look around at the people or groups of people or subject matter or ideas. And I look out of their eyes and I feel my insides as they mirror what's going on inside of the person that I'm skinwalking within. You may think, well, that's invasive, Keith. Did you ask them to do that? Nope. But if you're going to act like that you're going to be making decisions on my behalf, by golly, I feel like I got the right to climb in your body and see what the hell's going on in there. And so I got into Trump and I looked around to the country. Now, if you tell me, look, there's this girl, dude, man, she's got me like nobody's ever had me before. I mean,
That's
I
that
am.
happens to me.
What's that, man? What's that? What's that?
That happens a lot to me. I think
So let's say the latest one, the latest one, you're like, dude, she's it. I'm going to feel inside of you this expansive feeling. Your chest is going to light up. It's going to be wide open. It's going to be all of this amazing expansiveness, right? Because you have all this emotion and passion for this person. Or if it's an idea or a teaching or whatever it is, maybe it's the best restaurant you've eaten at in a decade. There's going to be passion when you're looking and thinking and talking about it. I'm going to feel it in you. When I got into Trump and looked at the country, the United States, guess what I felt?
what?
Flatline. I'm like, where's the passion? Where's this great concern? Where's the we're going to make America great again? That phrase, let's make America great again, should have a lot of oomph behind it, passion, not a flat line. And so you check it again the next day. Maybe you was having an off day. Happens to the best of us. flat line, flat line, flat line. Never caught anything other than a flat line. Am I perfect at what I'm picking up? I'm not, but I'm pretty good. And that troubles me when I'm skinwalking inside of somebody and they're telling me they're passionate about a country that they're supposedly the CEO of that corporation, and I feel nothing. Nothing. So the stuff I'm teaching in that intuition class is this kind of stuff. Let's make it really personal, because some people may be tuning out going, this is as boring as shit. All right, let's spice it up a little bit. So let's say you're having sexual relations with that person that you think is absolutely the best thing since sliced bread. They're your person. What if you could place your awareness and intertwine deeply inside of their heart, their body, and mirror what's going on inside of them while you're engaging in this beautiful lovemaking? What if you could do that? I don't think a lot of people are actually doing that. I think there's a lot of genital satisfaction potentially, hopefully. But as far as the deeper, right? Yeah. So but is there that type of true intertwining of your energy?
We
And you
had
don't
a
have,
good question from the audience, Keith. I had to ask you this. Someone, Nancy says, is it still Trump, or do you think he's been switched out or replaced? Because a lot of people, and like, I know I have people in my audience that are for Trump, and I'm not against or for or whatever. All I'm saying is there's some people who think that he's done a complete 180 recently. A lot of people are saying, and this isn't me, guys, so don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling people what I pick up from places, and what people are saying is a lot of the things he campaigned on, he's doing an exact 180. Like, for example, he said he wasn't going to get us into these wars, and now we're in a war. But, some people feel like we have to be there. So I'm just going to play devil's advocate on all sides, But
no, I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, because look, I've seen there's a guy I follow called the Aussie guy. He's Australian. His wife is Iranian. I didn't know that. He never talked about her. He never talked about her at all that I've ever seen. He's hilarious. He does funny narration over funny videos. Funny dude, got a huge following. And he got serious, right? When this all started, he suddenly was a very serious fellow. And he goes, look, you don't understand what my wife's people are going through. And I mean, he's made some videos. You can find him, Aussie guy. He Ozzie, I think is how he spells it, not as an Aussie, even though he's an Aussie, but Ozzie. And he got really serious, and he said, you don't understand if what these people have been living under with the regime that's been in place.
Absolutely.
Please, right? And again,
it's like people get bad on Israel, and I'm going to say Israel is bad, but so is radical Islam. Like, radical Islam isn't much better, and like, in my mind, I feel like they're both a problem. Like some of the stuff like that Israel's doing in Gaza and Lebanon, it's like it's not right. But then also like the regime that the Iranians are living under is horrible, and I'd love nothing more than for the Iranians to get their freedom, but a lot of people think that there's three major oil choke points around the world. Right. They think one was in Venezuela, one is in Greenland, and the other one is the Strait of Hormuz. And they think we're over there because we're trying to control the world's oil supply.
Yeah, because our dollar is falling apart. The petrodollar is collapsing. I mean, and that's why I don't make pronouncements on, well, this is what's happening, and I know this and I know that. I don't know anything.
That's how I feel too, Keith. I just kind of report things and I get information from all different sources, but I try to stay neutral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Trump can turn things around and like, there'll be a better perception of him, and like hopefully something good will come out of this. I know that's hard to say, but like, I'm hoping. That's probably not. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I don't know either, and I truly don't know, and I feel like that. The problem I have, anybody when we had the lockdown start, and I started treating people who were getting mysteriously sick at the very end of 2019. Nobody had a name for it. Nobody had shown imagery of people lying dead in the streets in China. None of that had happened yet. And I'm like, what am I working with? What is this? This is weird. I've never felt this before in a person. This is bizarre stuff. And then we know what happened after that. And you can tell me, well, politics is different, Keith. You're not a politician. You don't know how to play the game. You don't understand the steps you got to make things happen. You can't just straight shoot everything or nothing will ever get done. You've got to do some tiptoeing and some fancy dancing. Okay, whatever. You're right. That's not my world. But when it comes time to protect millions of people's health and you don't just come out and say, I'm not taking this thing, I don't recommend you take this thing. I obviously don't have veto power over everything. I'm one guy, and there's measures in place in the construction of this country to keep me from having veto power over everything. But I'm letting you know, just personally, as Donald, I think this is experimental, new, a bad idea. I wouldn't do it. My family's not going to do it. You do what you want to do, but make sure before you do anything that you're absolutely perfectly informed. And if you're not perfectly informed and there's holes in the information, I'd take a step back and maybe not do anything till I have the full picture. And guess what didn't happen, Robert? That.
Yeah. Yeah.
That didn't happen. Instead, you got Candace Owens bringing him on an interview going, hey, some people are going, there's some problems with this. And people are having some side effects. No. Millions of people are being saved. Best thing ever. I helped bring this about. It's great. It's perfect. It's wonderful. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Glad my name's attached to it. That is not the right answer. That's a dumbass answer is what that is.
From what I've heard, Keith, I've heard a lot of people that took that are emitting literally like Bluetooth signals.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me. So you can tell by the level of passion I'm having right now. Still, I will never forgive that man for not stepping up in that interview and going, Candace, there's some problems. No doubt about it. We've got some problems. Got to do something about this. We need to look deeply into this. Got to look into why they're not held accountable for the products they're making. Because if Toyota makes a model of car and people crash into walls because the brakes fail, guess what happens to Toyota? They get sued.
Yeah.
But guess what can't happen to these companies making this stuff that's experimental? They can't get sued. Why is that? Candace, it's a bad idea. It's a bad problem. We're going to fix this. That was nowhere in the conversation. So as soon as you're
Keith, I did hear that like that changed now. Like when I did a show with Danny Henderson recently, she told me she was in a meeting, and I guess like now you can actually, if you've had like I think something, I'm not sure. I mean, because I can't. I got to get my facts straight, but I heard now it's been overturned to where you might be able to like pursue legal action if you've been wronged by one of those injuries from those things.
I think there's certainly a lot of work being done in that direction for sure. So I'm not ready to dive into that because that's not why I came in here. But I'm saying it for a reason though. I'm saying it because I don't trust the person who jeopardizes millions of people's lives over, well, I just had to do what I had to do in the moment. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm the one, and people like me are the ones who get to feel what's going on with over half the population. Yeah, see? Nancy's got it. These vax were released under experimental that makes it immune to prosecution. Remember correctly. Yeah, that's the last status I know of. And so this is why I have problems. And this is why when I get inside, and more importantly, when I get inside of somebody and they tell me they love something and I feel for the passion for the country and I don't feel shit, then forgive me if I don't believe you. So then my question is, why are you where you are? How'd you get where you are and what's going on? For me, though, this helps me. I mean, to get to what I'm here to talk about, which is really how can you, if you think what I'm talking about and having the advantage of getting into somebody who says that they represent you, and there's plenty of people who think they do and say they do, and go, I don't agree with what I'm mirroring when I'm putting my awareness in you. I don't feel that from you. What if you're dating someone? You're thinking in the dating pool, and you're thinking, man, this person ticks all the boxes. They're hot. They got similar interests. They seem really intelligent, blah, blah, blah. And then you feel in there and you're like, ooh, that person's been through a lot of pain. Well, a lot of people have been through a lot of pain. That's not a reason not to date someone. But if you start feeling the level of dysfunction in there, and then, to me, you find that person's not willing to examine the dysfunction that's in there. For me, I'm looking for the door, because I'm not looking to be with somebody so I can be their caretaker, whether that's physically or emotionally, out of the gate because they refuse to be accountable. And what I know now at 55, and thank God I don't have to exercise any of this in the dating world because I have Angel. But at 55, if I had to enter that pool again, I would be able to feel a whole lot of stuff that would make me go, nope, 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 and nope. And oh, wait a minute, what's going on there? You're interesting on how you feel. They may not tick all the other boxes, but they
Yeah.
might feel amazing. And I learned that actually. I learned what I'm talking about when I was Angel and I were not together. We knew of each other, but we weren't together. And we were at a concert in the Gibson, one of the Gibson guitar stores there in Nashville, Tennessee, where we both lived. They had a little performing arts, little platform and seats in the back room. We were all there listening to somebody play. She's down the row from me, and I'm in my marriage at the time, and I'm shut down, just shut down. And I we're getting ready to have a break in the action of the music, and suddenly I feel so much pressure inside of my chest, like pressure out, like there's an expansion that my ribs are going to pop off my sternum, just going to detach. I was like, oh my God. And I feel it. This is a person I'm connecting to in this room. Who is this that's causing me to feel like this? I don't even know how to describe what I'm feeling. And I look down around and I look down the row and I see Angel, ooh, and it's fresh all over again. I'm like, holy cow, this is so incredibly, wonderfully, horribly, beautifully painful, because everything inside of me was waking up again because of who she is, and me interacting with her. I felt alive like I had never felt alive. So to have that as my benchmark, can you imagine? I wouldn't be satisfied anywhere else.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm telling you guys. These are things that I learned over time. And in that class I'm going to be offering in May 2nd, I'm going to teach you the best I can on how to have that ability inside of you. You can already have other abilities. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying that you don't or that you shouldn't use them. But I'm saying if you can operate in this way, I find it certainly enriches my life. And if you want to improve things in your body, then I can show you how to do that. I've got a lot of practice doing that. So this 8-week course, only for 10 people. I'm not doing more than 10 because it's too many if it's over 10 for me to work as individually as I want to with each person. I will teach you how to cultivate the energy because you need that in your life. Choose to use it if you will or won't, up to you. But I will show you how I operate the way I do. And in what I do, if I can say so, I will here. I'm going to. I'm pretty damn good at what I do. I'm not good at a lot of things in life, but I have an area and I'm pretty damn good at what I do. And if what I'm describing to you sounds interesting, by all means, let me know. And thank you, Missing Time 420. Appreciate that. As far as those healing, those healing sessions, those are Wednesday. Those are Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single week. Every single week, almost. I rarely ever take any of those days off to do that. And then I do, of course, one-on-ones, or I treat people, and I've been doing a lot of it lately. There for a while, man, I was treating so many people who were sick with the flu or whatever it was, flu-like symptoms, and people, it was rough for a while. It's lessened now. But anyway, a lot of people though with vaccine damage or with long haul COVID, treating a lot of that.
You helped me with whatever I had. Remember, I don't know, you volunteered. I was like, it was nice of you to do it. I was like, I remember I told you, I was like, you messaged me and you're like, how you feeling? I was like, man, I was like, I don't feel too good. And you did a couple healing sessions on me and you didn't charge me or anything. You were just really nice and you did it. And like after each time I felt great. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, well, you said I'm not. I think you posted I'm not doing well or something, and so what I do. I just reached in and felt you. I merged with your field. I was like, oh God, Robert is sick. He has the crud that's going around. I'm not saying what it is, what it was, but I just knew you were really sick, and I thought he's not climbing out of this anytime soon. He's going to linger with this thing for a couple of weeks minimum. And so I knew I could go in there, and I'll make it simple. We have a central nervous system. You have the brain. You have the spinal cord, right, all the way down here to the tailbone, and things when something invades and attaches itself, it's certainly attaching itself along the nervous system. So I go in and feel where that particular invasion has attached to you. And I go in there and I start, first I pump you up with a bunch of chi, a bunch of life force because you're deficient, especially when you're sick. Everybody's deficient when you're sick, or you wouldn't be sick probably. And so I go in and fill you up and I start pulling and detaching the tendrils of whatever it is you're sick with off of you. And usually the person will feel dramatically better after that. It may take a few hours, but normally they feel better. Some
Yeah.
people crack their fever will break while I'm doing that. I've had people before a couple of times. I would pull off the last few pieces, and they'd go, "Dude, my fever's breaking." And so then it's a matter of making sure that whatever little teeny leftovers are in there don't try to work their way back in and start their business again. But that's how I knew that COVID was different. For all the people who are like, it's a bunch of hogwash. There never was a COVID. It was all propaganda. It never existed. It's just the media. Not true. They hyped it up. They made it sound a whole lot worse than it was, but it was a thing. Because I had something, as I told you in 2019, where there were attachment points I'd never felt before. I'm like, what is this? And why are they so hard to get off of the person? And so I had to work on extracting, and it took a whole lot more effort. My body got used to it. You develop energetic immunity, and your energetic immune system starts to recognize things, and it becomes easier. You become more practiced at it. But I knew you were sick, and I thought, I can feel it. Robert's not going to get better anytime soon. It's got a hold of him, and you weren't going to shake it off. So I figured if I pulled it off of you and then made a second pass at it again, you'd get better in a few days, not a few weeks.
Yeah,
So,
and that was the absolute case. So thank you. Yeah, honestly, yeah.
you're welcome. Magda Barsky, some heavier frequencies got in, some called I think you're trying to say interdimensional there, I think. But maybe we need this pressure cooker to tap into knowing ourselves deeper. Well, yeah, the restrictions are really know ourselves as free. I like that because I would never claim that I understand and have the perspective of the overarching viewpoint of all of the dynamic that's happening here. I lean very strongly in the direction, Magda, that there's one point of consciousness that then created the illusion of separation in order to have the experience through that amnesia that developed or created and purposeful amnesia to then find its way back again to wholeness. And that's part of what we're experiencing. I'm much more of a Gnostic in the idea that this is an amnesia case. We come in here with amnesia, forgetting who we are and how absolutely infinitely powerful we are. And the journey is the remembering. And all of this, as I think you're alluding to, all of this has its purpose. It may be horribly uncomfortable or torturous, and also glorious and beautiful at times. But the whole entire experience, all the highs and lows of it, if you will, are part of the awakening and remembering. That to me is awakening is not knowing more about Epstein. Awakening is not knowing more about the deep state or the cabal or whatever names you want to put out there. That's not the awakening. The awakening is the journey of me going, oh, wait a minute, I have these impediments inside of me that are not really true. They're not the real me. And as I alchemize those impediments, then the remembering of who I am and the power that starts to move through me escalates and snowballs, and the momentum builds and builds and builds. And by the time I'm 90, I'm one hell of a badass, not decrepit, sitting in a wheelchair waiting to check out for my last breath. That's not how I want to do this. I want to be like some people that we know of have grown stronger as they got older energetically, not weaker. And so that's where I am on all this. When I teach anything, if you want to know, because maybe you don't align with it, maybe you do, that's the position I come from. That's the underpinnings of when I'm teaching Chinese medicine, fine. It's still the underpinnings of what I just described to you. In fact, to make it easy, I took away the whole chakra system for the sake of my course coming up. I took away all this complicated meridian system, and I call it the 6 convergence points. And there are basically 6 gates in the body that when those are properly in place and holding energy and moving energy like they're supposed to, then all the organ systems and all this meridian system and all the chakras and all those type of other energetic structures, they start working and aligning on their own. There's a lot of auto correction. So that's how I've simplified a lot of this stuff to where the lay people out there who don't want to know everything go, well, what's a basic system I can work on? 6 convergence points. They can be as very tangible and practical as you want them to be, or they can be as esoteric as you want them to be.
Wow, this is amazing, Keith. This was a great show. This was really. I think people could probably hopefully got a lot out of this. Honestly, is there anything? I know you got a class to teach at 9, and I got a show at 9. Is there anything you wanted to cover before we finish up?
Feel free to reach out to me. You can just reach out and ask questions. I think sometimes people hear stuff like this and like, well, I didn't quite get what you meant by that. I didn't understand that, or I've got questions about that concept, or before I want to interact with you in any way, I want answers. That's great. I would want answers in your position as well. And so I would say, reach out to me. My email, which I hate email, but it's one way to get a hold of me, is my name, keithcoley@gmail.com. There's my website right there. You can reach out through there. I'm on Facebook, and you can find me by my name on Facebook. And I mean, just reach out and ask questions. I find that's where people get caught, and then what they want to know, they never end up knowing. I love this. Any chance of ending the show with an energy tune-up? How much time do you have, Robert?
Well, if you're going to do an energy tune-up for us, I can do it for sure. But can you do it for the group? Is that possible, or what? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, okay. So can I do something for 5 or 6 minutes to clear things out first, and then I'll start cheering everybody up? So
absolutely. Okay. I have it until 9 o'clock, but I don't want it to burn you out or anything.
You're not gonna burn me. No, you're good, man. So, all right. So let's do this. So I'm going to use a sound. I'm going to use a sound to try to. It's like a scalpel. I call it a sonic scalpel. And I'm going to use it to excise some stuff that's sitting inside of some of you guys that's stuck and hasn't been moving for a very long time. Now, however, I want to make sure your eardrums aren't blown out. Okay. So turn your volume down a little bit, especially if you're wearing earbuds. Turn your volume down for a second so I can make the sound, and you can adjust your volume accordingly. Are you ready? Everybody have your volume where you need it first, down, not all the way off. This is the sound. Can you all hear that?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So take your volume up to where it's comfortable, and I'm going to do that for about 5 or so minutes. Close your eyes, if you will. And this is just to clear out like a sonic scalpel. That's why it's harsh. Are you ready? All right. 30 more seconds. All right, everybody put your hands in your lap. You're like this on your knees, on your lap like this, all right? I'm going to move energy into your left palm, and I'm going to pull the crap out of your right palm. So think of it as an energetic dialysis, much like you do for the blood.
And guys, you know, the 49 people that are watching on YouTube and however many watching on Rumble, you guys are so lucky because, like, Keith, this is why I keep having him back on my show because literally I will vouch for his work any day. He's one of the best at this. Like, he really did help me when I had a flu. Like, I will literally vouch for your work any day, Keith. You are one of the best at this, like, for real.
Appreciate
And
it, man.
I believe Matthew Morgan thinks very highly of you too. He was recommended you to my show, you know. So like, yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, Matthew's a real deal, man. He's a straight shooter, and I appreciate people who just they call it like it is, and Matthew calls it like it is, and I freaking respect that through and through. Hands like this. All right, I'm going to pull this stuff out of you. Here we go. And I'm going to say a statement over and over again, all right, to charge it up. Take kindness and benevolence as basis. Take frankness and friendliness to heart. Speak with reason. Treat with courtesy. Act with emotion and accomplish results. Take kindness and benevolence as basis. Take frankness and friendliness to heart. Speak with reason. Treat with courtesy. Act with emotion and accomplish results. Take kindness and benevolence as basis. Take frankness and friendliness to heart. Speak with reason. Treat with courtesy. Act with emotion and accomplish results. The light expands and creates, and the light returns. And the light manifests, and the light returns. And the light integrates and harmonizes all experience, for we are the light, and the light expands and creates, and the light returns, and the light manifests, and the light returns, and the light integrates and harmonizes all experience, for we are the light, and the light expands and creates, and the light returns, and the light manifests, and the light returns, and the light integrates and harmonizes all experience, for we are the light. And I'll end with a brief little magical song that my wife had moved through her years ago. Om Sei Safanata. Om Sei Safanata. Ooh, ooh, hey, safe nen come, seiken, safe safe nen come seken. Ooh, safe no. Ooh, for say, safe nen come seken. Fonote fonote comforte, ye comforte, comforte, ye comforte, fonote. Oh, for num one son tien can know. Oh, for num one son tien can know. Niama 48, Niama 48, Om for num one son tien can know. Thank you all for having me on here tonight. I appreciate it. Hope you got something out of that.
Well, that was amazing, Keith. Thank you so much. And guys, I'll be live in 30 minutes again. I have Matthew Morning coming on, but also Keith has his healing session group at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to join that as well, you can come to either or yeah. How do people join your healing session group, Keith?
They're gonna need to reach out to me. Reach out to me and let me know which one you want to do, Wednesday and or Saturday, and then I'll get them signed up.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I'll be seeing all you guys at 9 p.m. Eastern. And thank you, Keith, and see you guys soon. And thanks,
See you soon.
Keith. Awesome,
Thank
man.
you.
That was amazing. Thank you. It's
Thank
not
you.
letting me. I don't know what's going on with this. Oh, there we go.